Everyone's talking about AI. I definitely have incorporated investments into my portfolio to take advantage of the future growth. But today we're going to be talking about something that AI needs, which is power, not from chips or software, literally power. We'll be taking a look at 5 ETFs that touch on different areas of the power ecosystem: oil, pipelines, traditional utilities, and even the smart grid. So you can have a better understanding of what these different ETFs cover and give you exposure to, and which might be a fit for your portfolio. We're not just going to be talking about oil today. These ETFs cover different categories, starting with VPU. This is Vanguard's Utilities Index Fund ETF, which might sound boring, but it's part of the power ecosystem, covering electric utilities, water, natural gas. It's a defensive investment that gives steady cash flow, low volatility, performs well during recessions, and pays those steady dividends. Next, another Vanguard ETF, ticker symbol VDE, which is Vanguard's Energy Index Fund. This would be a value way of getting exposure to energy, traditional energy. This covers oil, gas, refineries. This is a traditional value part of energy, but this one is tied to oil prices, global demand cycles, geopolitical issues like we're facing right now. This is one, when oil takes this fund that outperforms. When oil drops, it's going to stall. So again, you get income, you get that hedge against inflation, a way to incorporate energy without having to pick individual stocks. Next, we have ticker symbol MLPX, Global X MLP and Energy Infrastructure ETF. This one is focused on pipelines and will bring you the most income of the funds we're looking at today. This ETF covers pipeline storage, transportation, natural gas processing. And I did a little research to have a better understanding of this, because with oil prices so high right now, I wondered how that will affect this fund. And these type of companies don't care about oil prices. Higher prices actually leads to more drilling. When oil is over $100 instead of $60, oil producers are actually excited. They start drilling more wells and opening up more fields that were too expensive to run before. These higher prices improve their profit margins, making profitability more viable for producers to invest in new projects, keeping those pumps running at full capacity. So these companies are getting paid on volume, not the price. That means more stability, higher income, lower volatility, less tied to the geopolitical drama that's currently going on. So you'll be getting SCHD style income, but through energy exposure. Now on to ticker symbol PAVE, PAVE. And this is a Global X U.S. Infrastructure Development ETF. This focuses on the physical world of infrastructure, our roads, bridges, construction, heavy machinery, and industrial equipment. I guess that's where the name PAVE comes from. This is impacted by government spending, growing manufacturing, and construction that could be tied to those data centers. An ETF that's going to give you a way to capture the growth of AI through companies that are doing work behind the scenes. Last up, this is ticker symbol GRID, GRID. And jumping over to Morningstar so we can see the full name here, it is the First Trust NASDAQ Smart Grid Infrastructure Index Fund. This ETF covers grid modernization, energy storage, power management. This is where AI meets energy, those data centers, AI technology. It uses massive amounts of electricity. Utilities can't keep up. The grid is outdated. So the companies inside of grid are the ones upgrading it. This ETF allows investors to get exposure to that innovation, growth, AI expansion that we anticipate continuing for the next decade. Okay, so now let's look at some details of all 5 of these funds together. Those first 2 funds that we took a look at, VDE and VPU, Both have low expense ratios, 0.09%, dividend yields of about 2.5%. VPU, definitely a safety net. VDE, exposure to traditional oil and gas. Now on to the other funds, which have a much higher expense ratio, but we're also going to look at the performance. I'm a stickler about making sure that those higher fees are worth paying based on the performance and your goals. So we have ticker symbol MLPX, expense ratio of 0.45%, and has the highest dividend yield at about 4%. So that's our fund that gives us exposure to pipelines. We have PAVE, that gives us exposure to the industrial side with an expense ratio of 0.47% and a dividend yield of 0.80%, and grid, the AI-driven power grid ETF with an expense ratio of 0.56% and a dividend yield of 0.82%. All different parts of the power ecosystem. So taking a look at the returns, all of these funds have been around for 10 years plus, except for PAVE, which has an inception date of 2017. But looking back to the returns, since inception, PAVE has the highest at 16.18%. And taking a look on shorter time frames, year to date, VDE is leading at 33.69%, followed by MLPX and grid. And on the 5-year, to give us a little bit of a longer time frame, VDE and MLPX are both at about 23%, grid and PAVE at 17%, and VPU at 10%. So those were average yearly returns. But overall, on the 10-year time frame, grid has returned 466%, PAVE 296%, ticker symbol MLPX 238%, and then our Vanguard ETFs, VPU at 160% and VDE at 150%. And just for reference, I threw in a few other funds so you can see how these energy ETFs measure up. I put in VOO, which gives exposure to the S&P 500, VUG, a growth fund, and SPMO, a momentum ETF. Still on the 10-year time frame, grid and SPMO are the leaders here, followed by VUG and VOO. So I am a long-term investor, and I just wanted to highlight a few of these funds that you could potentially incorporate into your investing strategy for the long term. Do your research, have an understanding of what your goals are to determine what might be the best fit to incorporate along with your other core investments, dividend-focused investments, growth investments. I love ETFs. You don't have to stress about picking the winners. Just understand the system, the methodology, and decide what makes sense for your long-term goals. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hype this video, and share in the comments, how many of these funds were you familiar with? Are you currently investing into any of these energy ETFs? Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.